And it's so exciting, like just doing this and like starting this business, being an entrepreneur in this time is so exciting because it's like you really can do whatever you want to do, and this is just like proving it even more.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to another episode of Goddess Hangs.
Episode 46.
Woo! I'm Sadie.
I'm Juliet.
And we have a very special guest with us here today. We have Elysia Whitis, the CEO and founder of the OLLOVUS app, which we've mentioned a few times on the on the app before, on the podcast before. So we're so excited you're here to share more about your journey and the beautiful business you've created with us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm super honored. It's great to be here. I'm nervous but excited.
It's going to be great. We never planned. She was asking us like, what should I prepare for? What are we going to talk about? And we're like, we're just going to talk. Don't worry about it.
Just kind of wing it, and I'm here for it. Honestly, that's easier, less for me to remember.
Yes.
I think we should start off this chat by letting you know that we have created, when we were in Vegas, we created a jingle for your company.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't remember it, but you get it started and I'll hop in.
It was OLLOVUS, all of us together.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, let's do it one more time because now I know what we're doing.
With spirit.
With gusto.
With gusto.
Okay.
I love it.
OLLOVUS, all of us together.
There it is.
Nailed it.
What? I love that. You guys, I like need this.
We'll send you an invoice. No, I'm kidding.
Annalyn, clip this out for us.
Oh my goodness, that's so good. I can't believe you guys like were thinking about me in Vegas.
We
like the company.
That was when we were in the bathtub recording an
Vegas,
episode.
yep.
Okay, this is for Annalyn, everybody. Can you clip the first Vegas incident into this now, us coming together and singing it together?
Yes,
we need all of it.
The girls pitch a jingle. CEO and
Our
founder.
next project. It's on our vision board to be the marketing team of OLLOVUS music department.
I'm here for it. Yeah, this is great. Like,
So now that we've broken the ice, I am dying to know. So first of all, can you tell our listeners about the app, what it is, what it does, and then I'm so dying to know your story of like what led you to that point and all of that good stuff.
yeah. So OLLOVUS is an app that's centered around the alternative wellness community. So it's basically a marketplace that connects practitioners with clients and helps to educate the community on what alternative medicine is. You know, there's so many different modalities like massage, chiropractor, energy work. The list goes on. It's like pretty much anything that's outside of conventional medicine. It helps to really educate the community on what it is, and then it provides business tools for practitioners to, you know, keep track of, you know, business analytics and all that good stuff. So that's really what that is. And we're actually in the process of redesigning the app and making it a little bit more intuitive, like adding some new features and whatnot. So I'm super excited for that. That'll be coming out within like the next month. So, you know, be on the lookout for that.
I think it's such a brilliant idea because if you don't have someone to go to that's sort of like word of mouth, it can be really intimidating to like go on Google and try and figure out who to go with. Especially, I mean, if you're from a smaller town, it can be a little bit easier to narrow it down maybe, but especially like in LA, like I'm like, I want to start acupuncture. I have no idea where to start I don't know many people here. I don't know where to start to like figure out who to go to. And I love that your app is sort of mixing like having a catalog of people that you trust, but also like there's like sort of a social media aspect to it where these people can like post and share more about themselves and their lives. And I think that really makes people feel safe when choosing someone new to work with.
Yeah, and you know, everybody who comes on as a practitioner does have a process that they have to go through, putting, you know, uploading their documents, and people can also leave reviews. So it's really like a way to get to know the practitioner before you actually book with them. You can see like, you know, what they've, you know, posted, pictures of them, and yeah, like just really get to know them before before you book with them, because, you know, I think that's also a process of like trying to find the right person for you. And so I'm trying to kind of like make that process a little bit easier, and have a lot of different categories and modalities in one place that's all connected to alternative medicine, for the people who kind of want to try different things, or, you know, see what resonates and fits with them, and, you know, they can try different modalities and book directly from the app. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, like, I want to talk more about the app, but let's back up and talk a little bit more about Elysia, and like, when did you first start getting interested in alternative health, alternative medicine, and like what kind of led you down this path?
Yeah, so basically my journey started about 5-6 years ago, roughly, somewhere around there, where I was working another job. I was working as an estate manager, and for that job, basically, like, I was taking care of like a family and their home and everything that goes into running their home. And one of the job requirements is to look for a dry cleaner. So I was just at a dry cleaner, and I was chatting it up with the person who owned the dry cleaning service, and eventually, like, we just continued talking, and eventually he was like, oh, I'm also a shaman, like, you know, check out my website if you're interested, like, you know, I would love to like help you on your journey, you know.
Wow.
Random, just, you know.
Did you like put it out into the universe, like, I need help, or like, I need a shaman, or did this just kind of, like, how did it feel? Was this like divine timing for you?
It was definitely divine timing. At the moment, I was just kind of scratching the surface of like what, I guess, like alternative medicine, just different ways of thinking. I was just kind of like in the beginning of that. I had just read a book by, I don't know if you guys know Deepak Chopra. Yeah, so my favorite book, it was the first book that really like expanded my mind, I guess, was The Spontaneous Fulfillment of Desire by Deepak Chopra, and it's so good. And it talks about how like coincidences aren't really coincidences, and like if you pay attention to things that are happening around you that feel like a coincidence, you can kind of pave the way, and like, you know, pave the way of your life and make choices based off of things that are happening, and like just, I don't know, just paying more attention to like what is happening around you, you can like kind of like change the course of where your life is going. And so I had just finished that book and was kind of just thinking about like, you know, the power of our mind, and like the way that we have an ability to really just like change the course of our lives, you know, like we have all these choices and things, and paying attention to what's going on around you can really just change your life. And so when this happened, I was after I read the book, and, you know, I was like, this is not a coincidence. Like, I don't know where this is going to lead me. I don't even really know. At the time, I didn't know what a shaman even was. I was like, all right, let me do my research. I'll get back to you, you know? So I did. I went home and I like, you know, looked up things, looked up the website, everything. And I was like, okay, like this is really interesting. I'm interested in learning more about it. And so I did. And then basically what a session would basically look like is, it's kind of like hard to explain, actually.
I know, I'm trying to picture it.
Yeah, so basically it's kind of like, think about going into a regular like talk therapy session where you're sitting, you know, across from the person. But this one, what'll happen is he did what was called like downloaded my memories and emotions and things like that. So doing that, he would kind of tap into like my memories and my psyche, and then would literally bring up things and be like, okay, were you this age doing this at this time, you know? And I'd be like, oh yes, like
I want to go to this shaman.
It was really interesting.
This is so crazy.
Yeah, it was really crazy, because then we would, you know, start talking about it and really start getting into it. And then what would happen is like he would help me to go and envision myself as I am now, going to that younger version of me and giving to me like whatever it was that I was lacking in the moment. So maybe it was like I felt that I needed a hug in the moment, you know, I was feeling alone or feeling like abandoned or something like that. I would basically envision myself going to that younger version of myself, giving her that, and then leaving the session at the end of it. I would be able to think about that memory and have the feeling of feeling like full, like fulfilled in like whatever it was that I needed. So I could like integrate these moments of my life back into my life in a more positive way, having given myself like the things that I needed in that moment, you know?
Yeah. So your shaman takes you on a journey like through your timeline.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's connected to inner child healing, which we recently had an episode with someone that specializes in that, Amanda. And I did a session with Amanda, and it was really interesting to just like, we got to a place where because I didn't really know, I didn't have anything obvious from my childhood that I felt like, oh, that's what I need to go heal. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of went into the session curious. And then what came up was like so obvious and like, so like, oh, duh, that's why I'm like that today. And it was so interesting because even if you don't have something like, I don't know, like obviously traumatic from your childhood, there's so much that you don't realize, these little things, these little ways of being, these little ways that your parents weren't doing something wrong or bad, or they were trying to protect you, but like you really, like it really sunk its claws into you, and it really affects like the way you move through life today. So it's so interesting. Yeah.
And even, you know, there were moments where I was going back into moments of my life that I totally forgot about. And I would, you know, he would say something, it would make me think about the memory, and I'm like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. I guess I do need to go back and, you know, deal with that.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize. And that happens sometimes, like when you have gone through a lot of things in your life, sometimes, you know, your body tries to protect you by blocking it out, but it can sneak up on you, or it can subconsciously show up in ways that, you know, maybe aren't so good. So kind of like going back and like dealing with those things, and having done like talk therapy and then doing this, for me, it was just so extraordinary, and it helped me to heal so much. Like it was just an incredible like journey, and I'm really grateful to have like had that opportunity to do that. And then continuing to work with him, he basically started to teach me how to do the work that he was doing on me onto others, including himself. So it was like student became teacher, teacher became student type of thing. And it was really cool because, you know, later on he was like, I offer these things to you, and like I was like helping you because I saw that you were a healer before like you saw that you were a healer. You know? Yeah. And I was like, I am touched. like, oh my God, this stop, you know? So it was really beautiful. And that was kind of the first time that I realized like, okay, I also can help others. Like I want to do that. And it made sense too once I started doing Reiki. And this is kind of like what leads into like the app, was I started doing Reiki, fell in love with that. I thought like, you know, this is a beautiful way to help people on their journey. And then as I started doing that, I was kind of like looking for ways to expand my business. And at the time there wasn't a lot of like resources. There wasn't like an app or a website or anything that was just for alternative healers. There was like you know,
where you could join it. That's what you were looking for.
Yeah, as a healer myself. And so then I was like, okay, well, you know, there's like a need in the market. And so I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I knew too at the time, I was like, I'm thinking this right now, and if I'm thinking this and I'm noticing this like gap, you know, that there's nothing here, somebody else is too. And I gotta do it right now before somebody else does it. And then I'm like, oh, why didn't I do that? You know? So I did, and I jumped on it, and, you know, it's been an incredible journey. And basically what I'm trying to do now is, you know, bring other practitioners together and really build like a community and help other people, you know? Yeah.
How long did you work with the shaman?
I actually was working with him for like maybe 3 years or so, and we still keep in touch. But I don't do the work as much anymore. I like to kind of like try a lot of different modalities. So kind of like just dipping my toes into some other things. And I think that like I always kind of like check in with him, but we worked through so much during that time that like I feel kind of, you know, good trying other things and doing.
Yeah.
You know.
What are some of the other, besides obviously the shaman was huge, a huge transformative period of time for you. What are some of your other favorite modalities that you've tried of healing?
Yeah. I don't even know if I can say this on here, but
What is it going to be?
I have had the opportunity to do an ayahuasca ceremony.
Oh yeah, we can talk about
knew
that.
that was coming.
Like, I don't know if I can say that. But it's you know, really powerful plant medicine. And it was actually just super, again, really transformational. It was one of those times where, like, again, kind of like similar to the shaman, but just like less talking and more like just kind of like seeing things and like visions and whatnot. But it was like things were being brought up that I kind of forgot about and then worked through, and it was like I was laughing and I was crying and then I was, you know, just kind of going through this whole journey. And, you know, when you drink the medicine, it's really intense and it feels like a lot. But then every time, as hard as it was like that night, waking up in the morning, I would just have like a biggest smile on my face, like, oh, I feel so good, like just like very grateful for everything that I've been through, like in the past, in the present, in the future, just like grateful, you know. So that was something that was really big. And then I love to get massages.
Me too.
Love to get massages. I think that's really powerful. And what's another one that I really like? I love yoga. Very fit, like very not fit, but like, well, yeah, just very
I'm very fit.
I mean, like what is that word?
Active?
Active?
Yeah.
You are very
But you
fit.
are fit. It's
It's, you know, it goes hand in hand.
She's fit and she knows it.
Like, not to toot my own horn. No.
Everybody flex.
Right.
I love what you were saying about how you knew there was a need for something, and that if you had this idea, other people probably had this idea too. And that you then committed to it and went for it and decided. And I always love this idea that like the greatest ideas in life for art and songs and businesses and apps and everything, they choose us. And if we don't choose them back, they will find another home.
Right.
And so it's like, I always think when these like thoughts come up of like, well, why me, and why do I have to, you know, anything maybe negative or insecure that pops up, or any imposter syndrome, or it seems too big, I always think like, oh, what an honor that this idea decided to choose me. And so I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that sort of like decision moment of, wow, this doesn't exist, I think I'll create it. Like, how did that feel? How did that unfold?
Yeah. So I actually started this business, like it was literally created, born, like a little over a year ago. Actually, I think this month would be 1 year. So it was mid 2020.
Happy birthday, all
It's
of
the
us.
one.
Yeah.
All of us
Together
is 1 year. Oh my gosh, it's such a new little baby.
Yeah, super new. I just hit the ground running. It's been super exciting. Lots of ups and downs already, and it's just the beginning. But yeah, that moment, it was mid-COVID, and I actually had quit my other full-time job in December, right before everything, you know, hit the fan. And it was the first time that I actually just was not working at all. Like, I've always worked like 3 or 4 jobs, like very just like I love to like move around like super quick, and I just like to like just be busy all the time, you know. But doing that didn't really give me like a lot of time to think about like what I really wanted to do. So
If you're not watching the video, I'm pointing at all of us because I think Sadie and I definitely felt that way, and I know a lot of people who like finally got this breather to be like, what do I want?
Well, I think that's why there's all this trouble in like the job market and people not taking jobs because everyone had time to think about, what do I really want? And oh shit, I want to create something. So everyone's creating, and then they're realizing like, oh, I can make money this way, I can be more abundant this way, I can have a happier life this way. And so there's all this trouble with the employers that aren't willing to pay people what they're worth. And I just love that all of us as a population are like demanding our worth and like demanding the lives we want as a whole.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. And I think it's beautiful too, like how many creatives and how many people who like tapped into that like artist side of them in whatever like fashion that means. Like being an artist is really like a mindset, you know. It's like people really tapped into that part of them and you know, the things that were created because of it. It's just so exciting to watch. And like, oh yeah, there's like so many things like bouncing around. I also like kind of keep up with like different investments and things like that. I'm gonna start like pitching my idea, and it's exciting seeing how many people are investing into new companies. You guys had Destiny on, which is
where we met. We'll talk about how we all met and how that came to be in a minute. But yeah, we had Destiny on. She's so inspirational.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. I was like, oh, and you guys name dropped me a couple times, and I was like, oh, of course. It was so cute, but it's so cool because she is like a reminder too. It's like there's so many people who are like investing and believing in people, and like and all the new companies that are popping up. It's really exciting to watch. I forget the question. I think you asked me something right before I started talking about
just like that, the mindset and that decision making and how that unfolded, because I feel like, you know, your intention for all of us is to be like the Instagram or the, I don't know what you would compare it to, of the wellness community, right? So that's
the
a
digital
big
yellow pages.
Yes, that's a big fucking undertaking. And so how did you not go, oh, there's no way I can do that, I'll just let the next person do it? Like, how did you decide? What was that like to be like, I'm doing this, I'm gonna begin?
Yeah, so okay, yeah, I like went off track a little bit. But basically, like, so it was, you know, I had quit my job December, and then for the first few months it was just kind of like sitting. Well, before the COVID hit, I actually went back to school. I forgot that I did this. I'm definitely
like I've done so much in the past year.
So much. I'm definitely the type of person, like just personally, who like just, if I think of something, I'll just do it, you know. Like if I'm kind of not afraid of failing, which I think comes in handy with starting a business, is like not being afraid of that, you know, because you learn so much. So yeah, I went back to school. I was actually going to become an international tutor, was my goal. And then so I was going back to get my teaching degree, and then COVID hit and everything went online, and I was like, I actually really have a hard time with school as is. Like, I need to be in the moment, like there. So I dropped out, and I was like, okay, back to square one. Let's think about what we're gonna do. At a certain point, I thought I was gonna do stick and poke. I got like, I was like just trying out everything.
What's that?
Like a stick and poke tattoo.
Oh. I'm like, stick and poke.
Let's throw a tattoo party. Elysia can give us all tattoos.
I have the whole thing. We could have like the whole setup, because there was a moment that I thought I was gonna do that.
You know what it reminded me of? You know how in the olden days they had the hoop and stick game? You know what I'm talking about? They would just, you know, anyways. I'm like, stick and is that anything like hoop and stick? Okay, go on.
Or pick up sticks. Did you guys play that game when you were little?
Yes, or Barrel
did.
of Monkeys.
Oh, that's a cute one.
Barrel of Monkeys. Yep. Yeah, someone recently, I was like, there was like some art on a wall that was like a bunch of sticks, and I was like, oh, that looks like that game Pick Up Sticks. And they looked at me and they're like, were you really poor when you were little? Because we thought I literally meant like the sticks on the ground and we'd pick them up.
You're like, no, it was in the Target game aisle.
I was like, no, it was a real game. It just reminded me of that. Comment below if you're on YouTube. Did you play Barrel of Monkeys, Pick Up Sticks, Hoop and Sticks? What was your favorite weird childhood game?
They're all so random too. Like, they're the funniest
Sponsored
ones.
by Pick Up Sticks.
Pretty soon we're gonna release the Goddess Hangs hoop and stick game. Glittery pink. All right, I'm dragging this on. So, okay, you did not want to do.
We were gonna do stick and poke, and then
hoop and stick tattoos. No thanks.
Yeah, I was like, I have an artist mindset, but I don't actually like draw that much. It was just like just a random idea that I had and just went for it. So then I was like, okay, chill, like really sit with yourself, like really, really, really just like sit and like think about, like I had a moment where I was like, okay, what did all of my past jobs have in common? Like all the jobs that I loved, like what was it about it that I loved about it? And for me, it was like helping people. I was a nanny for a long time and estate manager. And so all of those jobs, it's like helping other people, you know, childcare is caring for another child. And like, you know, I think, and then I started doing Reiki and I was like, okay, that's it all makes sense. Like all of that is why what I love to do. Like I just love to be there for people. And so coming up with the app, I was like, okay, this is something where I can go beyond just me helping one other, you know, however many people I can personally reach, which there's a cap to that. Like I'm only one person, you know? And so I was like, this is bigger than me. Like I want to make a big impact. And so like the way that I felt, the only way that I felt like to do that would be through like technology and like utilizing tech. Because before this, I was not in tech at all. So like to even go not only just from like founding my first company, but also founding my first like company that is like mainly tech. It's like, you know, the whole thing is like, what? But I just felt like this is bigger than me. And you know, having that thought of like, okay, I thought about this, somebody else in the world is thinking about it too. Like that's just kind of how I feel like the world works. Like we're all kind of connected in this way. And it's really the people who like who go after whatever it is that they want to go after that like make the biggest impact. And so I was just like, I'm gonna do it. And I did it.
There's interesting things that have happened where there's been like lawsuits and battles over like patents and stuff because people will invent things at the exact same time and that had no connection to each other, no way they could have gotten stolen the information from the other halfway across the world. And it's just like, I think spirit, the universe, God, whoever you're connected to decides that it's time for something and drops it. And you don't know who's picking, you know, a few people pick it up. So it's interesting because there's been a few inventions like that where it's like they'll be invented at the same time. And even when you just look back to like, you know, art from ancient civilizations and stuff, and you're like, how did they come up with the same thing here as they have way over here? Right. So yeah, there's just this like divine connection between all of us and all of us together. And just the fact that you recognize that you're like, I'm downloading this, someone else is too, we better get started.
Yeah, I was like, okay, now like it's kind of like the race begins type of thing, you know. And it's like beautiful because now I'm a year into it and I've noticed all these other companies that have popped up or that have been like doing really well, and it's exciting because I'm like, okay, well, that just means that people believe in it, and that means that other people are wanting to do the same thing. I think it's exciting. Like I don't look at, you know, competition as like, it's like it just means it's just proving the market, you know. And so, and it's beautiful because we're all kind of we have like a similar mission, but we all have like our little thing that we do that's a little bit different than the other person, you know. And but it's exciting kind of like being right there like with the whole collective and, you know, doing this and building it, and, you know, excited to see where it goes and continue.
I'm excited to see too.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be good. I have a lot of like plans for the future, which, you know, but
secrets. So how we met Elysia, and actually our meeting you in the first event we ever worked, snowballed into so much for us. So it was very divine. But we got introduced to Elysia through Media Megan Hart, who was also a guest on the podcast.
And
so
the most mentioned person.
And also the award for most mentioned person, who will also be a guest speaker for my program, Activate Your Magic, that's coming out. So shout out.
Yay.
But Megan lives in Alaska. She emails or texts us and says, hey, I want to introduce you to my friend Elysia, who's throwing an event in LA, and you should go work it. And we were like, how does Megan in Alaska connect us to a new friend in LA? But we'll take it. So we got to go do, and this was our first ever time we did it. We went to the OLLOVUS launch party. It was super fun, and we went there. It was our first time doing readings together like that in person. We were like, oh, maybe a couple people will wander over to our little space.
Incorrect.
Nope. We had people fighting over who was next. We were busy all night. We were the last ones there. It was so fun. But that triggered so much for us because we went, oh my gosh, this was really fun and people loved it. And that's what snowballed into me getting the download to do Roswell Flea Market, and then us doing our Las Vegas and New York job. So it all started with Megan connecting us to you, and you very graciously inviting us to your amazing OLLOVUS launch party. And that opened up so many doors for us. So it was just
So thank you.
very divine for us all to meet.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. That was like so much fun, and you guys were such a big hit. Literally, my friend, I remember, like came down. I was, like chatting with other people, and she was like, hey, like there's a lot of people who want to talk to, the girls. Like, should I start a list? I'm like, I think it's not that big of a deal. She's like, no, I think we should start a wait list. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And people were like watching.
Yeah, they're making sure.
Excuse me. You're actually not next on the list. Just there's a list. We were like, what the?
We were like, you guys figure that out. We're just here to read.
It was so good. Everybody like talked about it like for so long afterwards too. It was a lot of fun, and I'm so glad too that like that all worked out. So Megan is actually my digital marketer. She works for me, so that's kind of how I know Megan. And then yeah,
Megan's second life is that she's a marketing genius.
And it's Megan's so cool.
so cool.
It's so funny how, I don't know, just how you come into connection with people. Like, we never would have met ordinarily. But someone in Alaska connected us. Like, it's so cool.
It's crazy.
And
I love the way.
We met so many cool people at your party. We had Destiny on, and
it's so good.
I'm still obsessed with you being like, I'm in tech now. I just think that's amazing.
I also remember, so after we met Elysia, we did a lunch together like a couple weeks later, and we were basically asking you stuff like we're asking today. And we were so impressed about the fact that you had so many investors. Like we start our own business. We don't really have the types of businesses where you like gather investors because it's more, I don't know. I don't really know about that even. So I was just like, you were talking some numbers and your valuation and all this stuff, and I was just like, holy shit. Like, this is so impressive for you to have pitched and got these people interested and backing you and like believing in you. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah,
people
huge.
Putting that kind of money behind you, like, that's a huge deal. And like, was that really scary to like pitch? Like, we've kind of done the same stuff where we're like, why not pitch this? Why not try that? And just throw stuff out there and make it up as we go. Like, was that kind of what you did?
So basically, first off, so scary. It's like my palms are sweating. I'm like, don't let my voice shake. I'm like, very scary. But I think like there's a couple things that have like really helped me personally. I'm constantly like listening to podcasts, or like I'll go to like networking events or go to like Zoom networking events and things like that, and listen to people who either are like who are investors and giving advice, or who are like other founders, other entrepreneurs and things like that, and just like listen in. And I'm constantly like absorbing information, doing research, like the whole thing, me even like learning how to even like run my own business, it's all a learning process. Fundraising is a learning process. The whole side of like the tech is a learning process. Like hiring people is a learning process. Letting go of people, that's learning how to even do that and do it in a way that's like you know, like good and proper. So it's all been a learning process, and I think like if you're passionate about something enough, then you're gonna do it and you're gonna learn as much as you can, and you want to, you know. Like I get excited about it. Like even on my way here, actually, I had forgot that I had scheduled this like Zoom event that I was listening in on, and it was a bunch of different VCs that were talking, and it was like a 2-day event. So I listened in yesterday and then on my way here too. And it's just, they'll say things that just really make you think, and then you take those notes and you think about like, okay, what is it that like these investors are looking for? Okay, well, let's make sure that like whatever I'm presenting to somebody, I'm checking those boxes. So just kind of, it's not something that is just like common knowledge. It's definitely something that like you want to reach out to people for, like do your research and stuff. And I'm also really grateful because I've had some really amazing like mentors and people who have helped me along the way. I have some friends who are actually in VCs, so kind of getting that like inside scoop on, you know, what they're looking for and how that whole process works. I've been really grateful to have the help and, you know, support that I've had.
And is VC venture capitalist?
Yes.
Venture capitalist.
Yes.
I think that's a really good point, because they say like you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and you might look around and go, well, I don't have the option to go to lunch with a millionaire or whatever. And it's like, it doesn't have to be the literal human beings in your life. It can be the people you spend time with on your podcast and on YouTube and on your Instagram. And that's why it's so important to like regularly kind of check in with that and go like, am I following people that make me feel low vibe? Am I following people that make me feel, you know, and tuning in to only people that make you feel inspired and excited and like ready to take on the world, because it really reflects back on you and it the way you move through life. Like we have so many opportunities. We're so fortunate in our technological age that we can spend time with whoever we want to.
Right. And consume whatever information that we want to consume. There's so much out there. So it's like you have the power to, you know, turn a video on or turn the video off, or follow who you want to follow, or, you know,
learn whatever you want to learn.
Learn whatever you want to learn. Like there's so much resources out there. And it's so exciting. Like just doing this and like starting this business, being an entrepreneur in this time is so exciting, because it's like you really can do whatever you want to do, and this is just like proving it even more. Like, oh, it's so exciting.
We have a joke that because Juliet's kind of our head of make shit happen, and she's like, oh, I took my lawyer Barbie hat off and now I'm putting my like whatever Barbie hat on, because she'll like write up a contract, and then we like created our rider for like events. And it's just so funny because it's like, guys, it's out there, just Google it, just fucking Google it, you can figure it out. And then you get to a certain point of learning with that, and then you'll find someone to like buy the course from, or, you know, become a mentee of, or whatever. But it's so easy. And there, if you really want to do something, don't let your ego make excuses as to like why it's not available to you, because there's just so much out there that we can seek out, and it's so exciting.
Yeah. And it's like also reach out. I think that's something that I've learned through this process too, is that like you don't have to do it alone. I'm like such a fiercely independent person, but that doesn't serve you all the time, you know? Like sometimes you do need help, and, you know, gathering those people to be there for you and like support you, and like having that is so important. Yes. So important. So
my friend Sydney, she drops a lot of wisdom bombs on me, but one of the things that she said is, you know, people aren't thinking throughout their day of how they can help people. But if you reach out to them, they're usually more than happy to help. So it's like you sort of have to, it's like what you're saying about like reaching out and taking the initiative and like, hey, I just wanted to know if I could ask your advice on this, or do you have a recommendation on this? And I just find that like almost every time people are more than happy to like, oh yeah, I'll connect you, or I'll set up the email, or
they're
whatever.
Thrilled that they're like honored that you thought of them to ask, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was thinking we've been enjoying this idea of divine delusion, like getting so divinely confident, and thinking everything's going to be so easy, even if it might be hard along the way. And I just love, you sort of have to dive into business with a little sprinkle of divine delusion.
Yes.
And with the attitude of like, well, how hard could it be? And and I'm sure at times it has been hard, but you wouldn't have gotten there if you didn't at least have like, oh, I could figure it out. I could do it.
Totally. 100%. Like there's so many times where I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. This is ridiculous. Like, what is happening right now? But then it's just like, yeah, just go after it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You fall on your face. Well, you know, stand back up and like
you figure out something again. You actually don't want to do. Well, great, you got that out of the way. Now you're clear on what you might want to do next.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could have been stick and poking, but I tried it out. It wasn't for me.
Next week, Sadie's new stick and poke tattoo from Elysia.
It's just like a smiley face.
I have one here. It's a
that you made.
Yeah, but
oh wait, I want to see. Oh, you did this?
Yeah,
that's
but then
nice. It's 2 lines.
I had my tattoo artist go over it because it was you could kind of see.
You're like, but it was touched up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny.
I thought you were gonna say like this masterpiece on your shoulder. I'm like, how did you
even do this?
No, I didn't spend too much time on it. I tried.
You and Sadie both have the pretty hand and knuckle and finger situations.
These two need to get touched up, but yes,
I love it. So pretty. It's very like thin.
Yes, this person in New York specialized in like ultra thin. So I went there.
Good. Yeah. I definitely have more that I want to do, but waiting.
I know, me too. Always dreaming up the next idea. What was I gonna ask? Oh, I feel like I want to ask, what is like fun, like spooky, or like, do you have like a ghost story or a interesting like paranormal experience or a UFO? We like to ask everyone that comes to visit us, like, for a, it doesn't have to be like spooky scary, but like a spooky story,
or like an uncle that seems to be reptilian, like anything goes.
Okay, I have a couple that came to my mind. I'll tell the UFO story.
Ooh, yes. Aliens
together.
Yes. So this is kind of a crazy story too. So just
everyone grab a
buckling
seat, grab a drink and some popcorn. We're about to hear a crazy UFO
water
story.
For this one.
You know, take it for what it is. And this is what happened.
The crazier the better around here. So.
So I had met a friend through another friend, and it was like one of the first times that I had met her, and this was like during COVID time too, and so she basically had told me that she was going to go to the beach that night at a certain time because it was like a full moon, and she was going to do a spell, and we were like starting to talk, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, I don't practice magic that much, but I do feel like I have supernatural abilities, I guess. So, but it's not something that I necessarily like practice all the time. But I was like, I'll come with you. Like, if you want like an extra set of hands, like I can do what I do, you know? So we go to Malibu, and we're sitting on the beach. We do this spell, which I also learned later on because I didn't do magic. I didn't know that this was actually like kind of like a black magic one because it was like a love spell.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I got really depressed afterwards because it was like, you're not really supposed to do that.
Oh.
Anyway.
Yeah, we only practice self-love spells around here, and that makes the love meant for you attracted to you.
Yeah. So I didn't know these things. So that was kind of like the first thing that was like, But I say this all kind of connects because we do that. We're sitting, on the beach, and basically what I feel like happened was we didn't necessarily like close out the spell. And so we're sitting there just like chatting, we had already done it. And so we were just like chatting, whatever. And it starts to kind of get a little bit later. And then all of a sudden we're just like talking to each other, and we see this light over the water. Like we're looking at the ocean, and there's like this little white light. And at first I noticed it, didn't think anything of it. We're continuing to chat. And then a little bit later, like I see it move right in front of us. And so it's just sitting there like right in front of us. And I'm like, hey, do you see that light? Like, are you seeing what I'm seeing type of thing? I have my glasses on and everything. Like, I'm a little blind at night, so I have my glasses. And it starts to like move like this, like like that, like very sporadic, like up and down, like just it back and forth. Couldn't be a plane, couldn't be a boat. Like they don't move like that, like right. If it was something like that, it would just move in one linear motion,
Yeah.
So it's doing all that. Like I was like, it's kind of like dancing for us. This is weird. So we're both just like staring at it, like what are we looking at right now, type of thing.
Oh, I have chills.
Yeah. And then a red light shows up. And it does the same thing. It starts to like, it comes out of nowhere. It starts to do the same little dance and then disappears. And then, so we're just kind of like, what's going to happen type of thing, sitting there.
Did you feel like scared, or you're just intrigued? Like, what did you feel?
More intrigued.
Okay.
I definitely like believe in it. And I was like, maybe they're here. I'm ready. Like,
beam me up, baby.
Take me. Yeah, where are we going? Like, can I just grab my shoes and like
can show you the world?
I was like here for the ride. Like they obviously want us. Like so. Yeah, and then we're there for a little bit longer, and then it starts to get really late, and I was like, okay, I don't think anything's gonna happen. Like I think we were kind of waiting for something crazier to happen.
Yeah.
So we were like, I don't want to leave yet. I want to see what happens next,
Mm-hmm.
But it was just getting so late. So I was like, all right, gotta go. So we get into the car, and she's looking out the window. We're driving down like PCH down the coast, and it's now following us, like moving at the same speed as our car in the distance. Though it's like moving at the same speed as our car.
Whoa.
And then at a certain point disappears.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my crazy UFO story.
That's so cool.
And I
can't wait to we need to do another beach night. We did that
or we
once.
need to go like deep into the mountains or something where you can really see the sky.
I really have been craving a like green forest getaway. Maybe we can go to Big Bear or something.
Yeah.
Who's in? All of us
together.
So yeah, I bring up too the spell because I feel like when doing things like that, especially like in that moment, I felt like maybe we were kind of asking for something to happen, type of like kind of opening that door,
yes,
that portal or whatever you want to call it. So,
and did anything interesting manifest from the love spell? Because it wasn't your spell, right? Like you helped do the love spell.
Yeah. I guess
for your friend, did like anything
no
happen from that?
I don't think so.
Spirit was like, no. The aliens were like, I'm shutting this down.
Yeah.
Nay, I say.
Yeah. It was a little crazy, especially like the days following, because I was like, I do not know why I feel like this, and I think it was connected.
Yeah.
Maybe I
little alien hangover.
Yeah.
Alien wooziness.
I was like, this is a lot. I'm just gonna lay down. I don't know what to do right now.
Wow. That is a good one.
That was my story.
Spooky story time.
Story. And then, you know what? We've been forgetting to ask this. What does being a goddess mean to you? I would love to know that.
Oh, I love that question. I think being a goddess is stepping into who you are and really like loving every part of you, whether that's, you know, your history, your flaws, quote unquote, your, you know, good days, your bad days, and really just like having that like self-love, because I feel like having that self-love and having that like feeling towards yourself really like you radiate, you know, and people can feel that feeling of love. And I feel like once you have that type of self-love, you can, you know, give love to others. So I feel like that's
the perfect
That's beautiful.
answer. I think like if you're listening to this and you're like, gosh, you know, I have the entrepreneurial spirit and I have no idea where to start. Like I always tell everyone in readings with one-on-one clients and my courses is like, you have to start with turning inward, because the more you love yourself, the clearer you will be, the more you'll understand, and the more unafraid you will be to admit what you actually want. Because I feel like I always knew I wanted to do stuff like I'm doing right now, but I almost like pretended that I had no idea, and I was always like in anguish, like I just don't know what I want to do with my life, because I wanted someone to suggest it so it was safe for me to admit or something, because I didn't love myself on a level where it was safe for me to admit it. So if you're listening to this episode and you're feeling like inspired, like, oh, they're right, I need to go, Elysia's right, I need to go out there and do my thing, but I don't know what my thing is yet. I think starting with that goddess embodiment of just like, okay, how do I love myself on the deepest level? That's like the ultimate starting point.
Yeah, and I'll say too, I don't know if I mentioned this, like when you asked me about like when I first started this, one of the things that I did to before even like just going for it was like I did take that time to like sit back and think about what I wanted, and I journaled, and like I did kind of mention this, kind of just thinking about how like my past jobs connected, and just really like asking myself questions. I think that's a good way to make yourself like critically think, like, you know, like what do you like, or what are you passionate about, or like asking yourself questions that maybe will help you to open your mind and think about, you know, other things and whatever it is that you want to do. So yeah,
I love that, being very inquisitive, and I think being very like observational, because you mentioned like you're like, I looked back and like what did I enjoy about those past jobs and how do I bring that into what I want now. So I think observing what lights you up in your life right now and how to do something different with those things, that makes you feel really excited about the next big thing that's coming.
I love that. Now for people who want to either download all of us as a user versus a practitioner, is that how you would say it? What are the categories? What can they expect to find? What could they join the registry as? Let's talk about the nitty gritty.
Yeah, so all of us, it's spelled OLLOVUS.
Good thing we spelled it 17 times in this episode very well. We'll also have, of course, the link to download the app in the show notes, so you are able to run there as soon as you're done listening to download.
Yes, and it's available on Apple and Android, so
beautiful.
Whatever you have, it's there for you. As a practitioner, when you are signing up, you will, like I said, like upload any documents that support whatever it is that you say that you're doing. The categories that we currently have right now, which we will continue to expand, but for now we have Ayurveda, bodywork, health coaching, mindfulness, energy work, and yoga. Those are the 6 categories. And
I already have people popping into my head.
I know.
I'm
I
like,
just
wait,
thought
why didn't I tell them to
for
be
Jackie?
on there for, yeah.
I just thought of Jackie in our
She's
Patreon for health coaching would be amazing. We have a whole group of Patreon babes who would I think take full advantage either way of practicing or using.
Yeah, and it's great too, because even if you go on as a practitioner, you still have the option to like book with other practitioners as well.
That's cool.
I feel like as somebody who does like facilitate healing, like I need healing too, you know, like it's very important, especially when you're like giving so much. You want to make sure that you're taken care of too, in whatever way that means. So anybody can kind of go on there and then just, you know, fill everything out. As a practitioner, you can also like keep track of business analytics, like how many clients you're getting, how much money you're making, and keep track of all of that. You can also post right now just photos, but we'll have more features later on. And we're kind of changing it a little bit where now it'll be like a photo and more of like a caption to kind of, again, just like help people educate other people on what it is, like their modality is, their I don't know how to say, specialty is.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. And then for a client, you will be able to explore different modalities, explore different healers. You'll kind of get asked a couple questions so that we can recommend healers and modalities and things like that to you, and whatever it is like you're dealing with, maybe like chronic pain or anxiety or depression, like we'll help to connect you with somebody who can help you with that. And we're also adding in a feature which will be coming in the next couple of weeks where you can also have like keep track of like your achievements, like, you know, a 1-day streak or, you know, doing things and having a consistent like daily habit and things like that to help people.
That's very cool.
It seems so interactive and so supportive, and I just love it. It's like a little matchmaking service.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a nurturing place, even if you're not quite ready to book and you kind of just want to be like a looky-loo and like, you know, like just kind of follow along for a little bit. Because when you're new to it, it can be a little intimidating to book that first session. So I love that it's sort of a social media way to connect people. There's like that aspect with being able to see people's posts and things like that. It just feels like a very nurturing place for people to enter the world of alternative healing.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like it can be kind of intimidating at first. And there's a lot of modalities too that people don't know what it is. Like, for example, one of the ones that a lot of people ask about is Ayurveda. And for those of you who don't know, Ayurveda is kind of like a whole body approach to wellness. So they integrate I'm not an Ayurvedic practitioner, so excuse me if this isn't exactly a good way to describe it, but they integrate like yoga and a different way of like eating. They base it off of like the 3 doshas, so it's basically just very tailored to you and what works for you. Some foods can be healthy, but maybe it just doesn't like react the same way for your body. So really kind of like doing that whole body thing. But some people don't know what that is. So like kind of having that educational aspect of the app where it kind of helps people to like explore new things and, you know, try out different things that maybe they didn't know about but could really, really help them, you know. So kind of, like nurturing people, both the practitioner and the client, to, you know, help heal the world, heal the people of the world.
Craig's sister is an Ayurvedic healer, so it's very helpful. Like, second we have like a stuffy nose or something in this house, we're like, Cynthia, what's wrong with us? What do we need? And she drops off a little like thing herbs of her like homemade capsules that she mixed herself and stuff. So it's very nice to have an Ayurvedic healer in the family.
Oh, lucky.
Nice. Yeah.
It's nice because my mom wasn't an Ayurvedic healer, but she was just full of every piece of knowledge about alternative health ever, and so that used to be my always like, Mom, what do I do? Mom, what do I do? So it's nice to have Cynthia for the what do I do? This hurts.
It's so interesting too to see like, you know, a lot of things that like we're dealing with or whatever we want to like help like heal ourselves with, we can do that holistically. And you know, it's, I believe, also in like integrative medicine, so using conventional medicine as well as alternative medicine. So, but it's kind of exciting to see the things that like, oh, like this herb can really like help cure this. Like, what?
Yeah, we aren't taught a lot of this stuff. It's really incredible.
So,
well, is there any like final words of wisdom you want to bestow on us and our listeners, or anything else that you wanted to mention about connecting with you, connecting with the app? Put you on the spot. Anything.
I guess like talking a lot about like starting the business and whatnot. I for anybody who's listening who has an idea and doesn't know where to start, just do it. Like, just go after it. Like, do your research and just like look up things and ask questions and just put yourself out there. I think like whatever it is that you want to do, there's resources, there's people who are willing to help. There's so many people who want to see other people win, and so like surrounding yourself with those type of people, I think is going to be really key in helping you to do whatever it is that you want to do. So just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
I love it.
This was such a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us and joining us in person. It's always so fun when someone can actually come here and hang out with us. Make sure you follow Elysia, and the OLLOVUS app will post all of the social media links and the app download link in the show notes. I am Sadie Olson on Instagram. Follow at Goddess Hangs.
At OLLOVUS. And
Your other, do you want to do your personal one or no?
oh yeah, for my personal one,
You don't have to.
I have it on private, but you know, you can request it. But it's at ELYSIA _TAPIA, Elysia Tapia.
We'll put that in the show notes too if you'd like us to.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah.
And
I'm at Juliet.Piper. Make sure that you are on our weekly love letter email list. You'll get a free spell. The link's in the bio.
And have you joined our Patreon yet? Oh my gosh, we're having a freaking ball. We have a group chat of over 30 of us. Who knows, by the time this episode comes out, it might be more. We have all of the details in the show notes. Make sure you join now because it's the beginning of the month. I think this is coming out on the 1st. So, oh my gosh, there's no better day to join than the 1st of the month to get all the juicy goodness. We have a group chat. When you join the coven tier, you get to hang out with us for a private coven meeting as a group. There's an option to be a VIP goddess where you get to meet with Juliet and I for a 2-on-1 30-minute session. We have been having so much fun with everyone who's joined us so far, our BFFs, and we can't wait to meet more of you. All the information is in the show notes. We love you all so much.
We love you.
Thank you for another wonderful week, and
thank you.
we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.